Well, it's so nice, I'm doing it twice. Good morning, and welcome to Talking Points here on WESN Content Capital. My name is Keaton Shaw. I'm in this position, but fortunate enough to have my co-host and colleague with me virtually this morning. Hello, Sean Michael Small. How are you doing? Sean Michael Small, are you with us? Oh, isn't this fun? The moment we come on air, Sean Michael Small is frozen. That's okay, ladies and gentlemen. Sean is with us virtually this morning, but hopefully he can join us in a moment or two. It's Monday, the 5th of June, 2023, and a lot to get into following the weekend's events. Just checking to see if my co-host is with us. Hello, Sean.
John?
Yes, I can hear you. All right, so we're just going to pause for a moment while the technical crew actually try to welcome Sean to the program. But in the meantime, just to give you an idea for what we'll be discussing this morning, there's two more defectors from the United National Congress who have joined the People's National Movement leading up to local government elections 2023. Of course, P&M screening taking place as we speak. Beyond that, what's interesting is that we learned last weekend of the former president of the United National Congress's Youth Council, that is Mr. Kavi Sudial. He also seems to have quit the UNC, and he's now joined the People's National Movement Party. So interesting events taking there as it relates to both political sides. Furthermore, the Minister of National Security held a press conference yesterday. In fact, we'll get into that a bit later on when we get into the queue this segment. And of course, it's Monday, so we will be welcoming Acting ASP Ashraf Ali to the program later on to discuss police powers. Yeah, well, we'll have questions and concerns about that, no doubt. So we'll get into that conversation later on. But I'll tell you what, while we're trying to get Sean Michael Small into the program this morning, let's take a quick commercial break. When we return, hopefully he'll be with us so he can make his contribution to the conversation. We'll be right back after this.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas, and Movie-Town, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
The best laptops and tablets are at dbesttoys.com. Get a Gateway 14.1-inch Ultra Slim notebook or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fire 7 tablet for $474. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32-DBEST to order or visit us in-store at Forces flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit?
Yes.
What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive. It is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you do in our day.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Talking Points. Okay, we believe we have Sean Michael Small on the line with us this morning. Hello, sir. How are you?
Not doing that well, but doing okay, all things considered. Nothing too serious, just a little under the weather. So, best to stay separate, but the show must go on. Glad to see that you don't have to pull double duty this morning to give me a hand here. But yes, you were mentioning the topics this morning. Let's get straight, folks, into the daily review.
So this first topic actually comes from the PNM screening committees for local government elections. It starts off with the candidate for Arima Central, Sheldon Fish Garcia. And it goes beyond just Sheldon Fish Garcia, ex-UNC council as well, Marcus Geran Hari. He's also seeking to contest Marabella East Vista Bella for the People's National Movement. Sean, this is just I guess the second time in a week, this is two stories, but it's the second time in a week that we're hearing about defectors from the United National Congress moving across to the People's National Movement.
Yes, and it's interesting because the common narrative going into these local government elections is the fact that the PNM was losing overall momentum, right? When you look at, okay, if you take everything in its totality, the last runoff, local government election runoff, the THA elections where they slowly, well, relatively speaking, lost ground between the tie. After having a clear majority, they were tied, and that forced a subsequent election where they got a severe beating in Tobago. And even the last general election where technically the UNC did make up ground, even though they still lost. So this is interesting that at least one councillor said he was not satisfied, or I'm paraphrasing here, he didn't seem satisfied that the UNC was organized enough or had enough of a plan or an idea with regards to moving forward with the upcoming local government elections, which is a hell of an indictment because to some extent they were calling for the local government elections. So the fact that, you know, one of your now former councillors is saying, well, you're not ready, I'm not sure what to think, because technically speaking, I don't know if he could speak to the national readiness or to the national plan. But the flip side is, I'm not entirely sure why only one corporation might be so severely unorganized that they're going to have a defector, and others, how is it reasonable to assume others would not be similarly, not necessarily to the same extent, but they would be better or healthier with regards to their plan?
I think these developments actually add to the strength of the People's National Movement campaign. It's obviously clear. I mean, the United National Congress has looked to shrug it off, but regardless of the individual and the capacity they previously held, the mere fact is these are defectors going to now run in an election for the People's National Movement. The thing is that are these individuals, they were dissatisfied with the direction of the party and perhaps the mandate of which the United National Congress leadership has put out. With all that being said, is it that they're looking to serve themselves, or is it that they're looking to serve the people? You know in TNT how it goes. You're either PNM or you're either UNC. And people who claim that they are impartial, they don't align to one party, that whatever commentary they make, you know, diehard supporters of either side will always attack them. So the thing is, I mean, these individuals have every right to join whatever party they want to. The question now is, whom are they serving? What is their goal or their intention? Is it that they're seeing more opportunity coming from the People's National Movement because the People's National Movement is in power and therefore they might have more resources, more strength in carrying out their responsibilities, or just more opportunities for greater positions? Or is it that it genuinely speaks to the strength of the People's National Movement as a stable party at this time, and it speaks to the leadership of the United National Congress, the direction of the party, and even its political leader? And the reason why I'm phrasing it that way is because take a look at this. If you've gotten the Youth Council President of the United National Congress to now shift across to the People's National Movement, this is an individual who stood on political platforms, and if you've listened to his speeches in the past, he was quite strong, he was quite affirmative. The only individual is Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, the only party is the United National Congress. He was hell-bent on speaking out against the People's National Movement. Now he's joined arms with them. So, to me, it speaks about party politics here in TNT, it speaks about opportunity, but it also makes you question, even if these individuals are not as big as a former government minister, and we've had former government ministers speaking about the current UNC leadership, you know, does it also suggest that the Kamala Prasad-Bissessar United National Congress is a dying brand in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, to what extent does she have direct involvement with this part of the party, right? I don't know, I've never been that deep into politics to know to what extent the political leader is involved, the senior executive is involved, because now you're looking at, while we haven't seen the reform put the actual executive in place for the local government themselves, to some extent each party group and district and corporation and so forth will have to have their own planning to some degree. So the thing though is, as you were saying that, I hearkened back to some of the stuff that I saw in the Senate last week, and just thinking back with regards to how the two parties communicate, one thing that I notice is with the PNM, and you can correct me if you think this is wrong, I don't necessarily think that the different members of the PNM only praise the political leader / prime minister, right? And I'm not too sure if that is always the figure that they reference. But I feel as though with UNC, that's the person that everybody pays lip service to almost all the time. It's not something I agree with, because, and I think by default, given your stance on the opposition leader, I don't think you would agree with it either. Why is it that they're always thanking and playing up the role of the opposition leader when, technically speaking, to some of us, it looks as though she's the reason that's holding your party back?
Sure,
now,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I will have to disagree with you on the point that I've looked at Parliament many a times, I've looked at press conferences many a times, and it's always the same tune. It's due to the leadership and the visionary leadership and the guidance and the strength of the Prime Minister, Dr. Key. It's on both sides. Both sides do that because both sides have to appease leaders in order to keep their position.
One with some issues, they would reference the work done by Minister Young, or the work done by Colin Imbert, or the work done by whoever in whatever role. Yes, the Prime Minister is the overseer. He is the guy that has the buck stops at him, right? But you have other people getting props. I don't really have anybody else in the opposition party getting that much props. Every now and then you get a little bit, but I do find that it's very centered on the opposition leader, which is unfortunate. And perhaps, I mean, that's what their first losing campaign, or the last one of the partnership, it was centered around the opposition leader. That didn't go very well. Not to stick on that point for too long, because we have to more or less cut this segment here. But with regards to the motivations of the councillors, well, Mr. Gadari, more or less, he brought that up himself. You know, he said that there's a provision for them and us, which is usually what people expect, despite the fact that really and truly our systems are not really meant, the system, ideally for a them and us situation that is so hard and fast. And yet, this is what we've evolved into, which is why our systems are not necessarily working 100% right now. He has decided that, look, for the betterment of the people, this is what he claims, he's moving to the other party. Now, the question is, exactly what does that mean? Does he think that he could get more work done, or he'll be more effective with the other party, or is this about a bigger, because that could be quite selfish in a way, or is this about a bigger thought with regards to trying to improve the system, being a part of the process with the local government reform? Because that, right now, there's a them and an us. So everything that is passed, it's a them and an us. The reform seemingly was on track to go ahead without UNC participation, except I believe it was, Fish himself that attended that meeting. And at some point, we're going to need to see more of that on both sides.
Well,
and I would rather put faith in the politicians that do that than the ones that toe the party line.
Well, I honestly, you know, I'm wondering of so many things here. I'm taking a look at another story of which we didn't get into, but Helen Morian, he actually, the deputy mayor of Port of Spain, he's not offering himself up for local government elections. He said he's frustrating, though he's not actually spoken out against the People's National Movement. That's one other story that you could examine. But are these United National Congress rejects, individuals who are not given the opportunity to go up again, and therefore now, in order to maintain our position, we now need to go across to the People's National Movement? Are they genuinely frustrated with the UNC, or is it more so to do with opportunity? And they're just saying that. Two, also take a look at the possibility that the United National Congress, it's a possibility that we cannot actually undermine, that these are actually strategic moves. Publicly, we speak out against the UNC, we join the PNM, but we have inside information now that we're feeding to the United National Congress. We have insiders there now who are wearing the cloak of the PNM, but we're feeding information to the United Nations. It's a possibility that we shouldn't undermine. And
technically speaking, if it isn't illegal, you're opening yourself up, if caught, to one hell of a civil lawsuit.
And
so,
finally, of course, is it that in Trinidad and Tobago, I mean, this goes with any political party, don't get me wrong, But given the fact that the People's National Movement have been in power for the last, 7 years, is it that in Trinidad and Tobago, you only get an opportunity, at least now, you only have opportunity if you are a member of the PNM and if it's in good lining or good faith? Is it that I will only get opportunity if I join the PNM and I side with them and speak really good with them? That's something to consider as well.
Let me just give you a quick answer. Look at Tobago. The PDP got an opportunity. Wow. And unfortunately, and this is what I was afraid of, the stability, the foundation of the PNM, even in Tobago, which, remember, originally was not a PNM stronghold, right? Eventually a transition from the NAR. But that stability, that foundation seems to be winning out. The PDP might not last an entire term. Well, technically, the party itself being in power didn't last a term. And now we have to see how the Tobago's People's Party will come out of the latest mess that they find themselves in.
We have to go to commercial break. But with all that being said, I am still of the opinion that the United National Congress needs to do some deep assessment, re-evaluation and re-examination, especially as it relates to the political leadership of the party and the direction of the party. They have a lot of work to get done still. But anyway, let's take a break here on Talking Points. When we return, my co-host and colleague will get into the queue this segment with the press conference held yesterday by the Minister of National Security. And then later on, we will welcome the acting ASP, Ashraf Ali, to the program. He got a break last week. He had a break last week. We didn't have Talking Point last week. So you know what? 2 weeks worth of conversation we'll squeeze into when he joins us. But we'll be right back after this.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
The best laptops and tablets are at dbesttoys.com. Get a Gateway 14.1-inch Ultra Slim notebook or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fire 7 tablet for $474. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32-DBEST to order or visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit?
Yes.
What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive. It is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole. It's for all of us in public.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Well, folks, we had a press conference. It was actually a 2-for-1 press conference yesterday from the Ministry of National Security on two separate issues. One could even argue three, but we'll table the third one for now. The first issue with regards to a foreign national and accusations of rape. We'll get into that with our first cue this.
Initially, she would have come to the attention of the Immigration Department on the 27th of March this year after being detained at a bar in Freeport, the Tequila Bar. She would have subsequently been detained at the heliport immigration station for the offense of illegal entry and not being in possession of any identity document. Subsequent to that, she was interviewed by an immigration officer with the assistance of an interpreter, where no trafficking indicators would have been exhibited. As such, she continued to be detained based on the fact that she would have allegedly entered the country and admitted to having entered the country illegally without the requisite passport or visa. She continued to be detained at the heliport immigration station until on the 4th of April, she was unaccounted for at the heliport immigration station. Inquiries began at that time, and the matter was referred to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Sometime around the 6th of April, there was a social media post circulating that allegedly from her boyfriend stating that she would have made reports of being abused while in the heliport immigration station, and subsequent to that, she was removed from the facility. Based on that, the matter was referred to the Special Victims Department of the TTPS, and they started their inquiries. Further to that, the TTPS again engaged the young lady when she was detained by the Chaguanas police on the 26th of May. She was detained at a bar in the Chaguanas area and handed over to the Immigration Division. She was handed over to us and subsequently placed at the Immigration Detention Center and referred to the counter-trafficking unit for screening. Subsequent to that, she was placed in the care and custody of the counter-trafficking unit, where she remains at this time.
To conduct investigation relative to misconduct and sexual exploitation at the immigration station in Chagaramas. I immediately formed a team from the Special Victims Department. Several persons were interviewed and certain information was disclosed. No sexual exploitation was disclosed at that location.
Well, folks, no, it's not about Tobago. That's for tomorrow. But that is the main meat of the matter with regards to the first press conference, where, technically speaking, it's one of three situations that implicates members of the Defense Force. Now, the only thing that it seemed as though the head of the Special Victims Unit had to say was that no testimony was disclosed with regards to any sort of sexual exploitation at the heliport. The trick is, technically speaking, that's a very specific line. And it's difficult to know, is she more or less just being specific and she isn't necessarily making an overall statement to say that there was no rape or there was no sexual assault, or is she's being specific to say, well, look, we're not saying about the other things or about the other factors, but in this specific instance, it's not there, or is she being general? That we didn't get any testimony yet, that we have no evidence yet, and don't make assumptions. Now, the case itself, it does seem kind of strange. She goes missing from a facility that's not supposed to be detaining people. It was used during COVID, and it's apparently under review if people should be detained at this facility moving forward. She goes missing. Then, I believe, is when the accusations over social media are made. Then she's found again. She's detained again. Now, technically speaking, she, I believe, is an illegal immigrant. or at least she has that immigration matter to sort out. Now she's also in the custody of the trafficking unit. So it's an odd story, to say the least, with regard to the fact that, well, we hear a lot about her. We haven't necessarily heard a lot about the potential transgressions that went on. So from what I understand, it is a Coast Guard, a member of the Coast Guard, but beyond that, I don't really know. And to what extent now, because if it was one, were there more? Was it one time? Was it multiple times? What? I myself did not see the social media allegations. Of course, those claims, you have to take it with a grain of salt, they're one-sided. So that's one issue that came up yesterday. Now there's a second issue that on the surface might seem like just a drop in the bucket, all things considered. But the reality of the implications might be a bit more, well, frightening. Let's take a look at the second video.
As indicated, I am Lieutenant Colonel Ashok Singh. I am the acting commanding officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, and I was alerted early this morning of a missing Galil assault rifle from the Support and Services Battalion, Tetran Barracks in Chaguaramas. At approximately 12:30 hours this morning, the orderly officer, who is the senior person on duty at Tetran Barracks, was alerted by a person who is currently who was on duty and would have been assigned a Galil assault rifle, that his rifle was missing. The orderly officer immediately conducted the standard operating procedures, or SOPs, for such incidents, and immediately confined Tetran Barracks. Tetran Barracks remains confined at this point in time as we continue the investigation. The orderly officer also conducted an immediate search of the location, started a preliminary investigation, and alerted her commanding officer. Earlier this morning, with the advent of more light, a thorough search was again conducted of the vicinity, but the Galil assault rifle was not found. We alerted the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Western Division in particular, of the incident, and they are currently at Tetran Barracks working alongside us in conducting this investigation. Additionally, we would have alerted the interagency task force with regards to the missing Galil assault rifle, and we are currently working alongside them in terms of gathering further intelligence and information with regards to the missing Galil assault rifle. The Trinidad and Tobago Regiment sees this as a very serious incident and will continue to work alongside the TTPS to diligently find this assault rifle, the Galil assault rifle, and bring the perpetrators to justice. Thank you.
Now, further on in the press conference, a question was asked about another incident where Defense Force personnel apparently shot up a presidential vehicle, and that is also being investigated. The Chief of the Defense Force, Air Vice Marshal, he more or less took the opportunity to basically say that, look, this is not necessarily within the professional standards expected of members of the Defense Force. However, now we in the media, we have to, and the country have to look at the fact that we have multiple situations, how severe they are, what actual transactions took place. Well, that's yet to be seen. A Galil assault rifle is missing. On a practical level, with regard to the safety of the country, that's not necessarily that big of a deal when you compare it to the fact that similar weapons have been found in multiples in different batches over the last couple of years, and similar weapons have been used in multiples. I do believe the Pennywise robbery utilized more than one weapon of a similar caliber, of a similar automatic fire feature. A Galil is actually somewhat of an old weapon, all things considered, manufactured in Israel, 5.56 ammunition, similar to an AR-15 or M4 and M16. And we've seen more modern composite designs coming through, smuggled into the country. An older design, a single example, that with regards to a weapon being on the streets, does not seem as scary relative to the fact that we know that weapons like that are already on the streets in multiples. The issue is the fact of how it went missing, and that it went missing out of a Defense Force camp. Now, perhaps it will be found, right? I believe it's reasonable to presume that these things, their serial numbers are all registered. There's in a list or a file, so you're going to know that XYZ gun is the gun that went missing if it turns up. They did say that ammunition weren't necessarily missing with the weapon. All of that is not what I'm worried about. The fact that, look, when you're in the Defense Force, generally speaking, you have one job, and that is to take things like this seriously. Securing your weapon, being responsible for base security. And the fact that now, potentially, we have this breach in base security, regardless of if it was done externally or internally. Well, now there's wide implications. How far could it go? How far does it go? And the other thing is, when you take all of these three incidents together, granted, they're not necessarily all done by the same service. But it does bring up questions with regards to our Defense Force. The devil makes work for idle hands. Just what is the mission? What is the point of the Defense Force? At the very least, NATO had one mission, one singular mission, and that literally was to just defend Europe and to some degree North America from any sort of offensive action by Russia. They didn't necessarily have any other threat on the horizon, right? We are in a stage where the chances of war breaking out in certain parts of the world are not very high, including our own. And if anybody decided to declare war on us, the odds of us being able to defend ourselves with our Defense Force is also not very high, unless it's another Caribbean island nation or something, a nation similarly or small. So again, the question is, what is the mission of our Defense Force? Because, as I said, the devil makes work for idle hands. And if we just have services, Air Guard, Coast Guard, Regiment, plus other task force and special units within the Ministry of National Security, they're getting a check. At the very least, we don't want to hear about problems, because we're not necessarily even seeing production from anything that productive from some of these services. Borders are porous. Coast Guard at times disappear, except, well, the only other time I can remember about hearing the Coast Guard was another controversy where a baby got killed. So again, I have to ask, what is the mission? Why is it at the very least you can't keep your nose clean? When I already had questions as to the significance of your existence, even without any of these controversies. Folks, we have to take a break. When we come back, hopefully I'll be rejoined by my co-host, as well as we'll have our media ambassador from the TTPS to speak about, well, a few things. Well, we have to play some catch up, but we'll do that after this break here on Talking Point on WESN, your content capital.
the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Did you know that polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, is one of the most common issues faced by women of reproductive age in Trinidad and Tobago?
So we see more patients with polycystic if they're obese, but there are the small-billed patients who also have polycystic ovaries.
What other treatment options are there available for these girls?
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? Yes. What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive. It is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole. It's for all of us in public.
The best laptops and tablets are at dbesttoys.com. Get a Gateway 14.1-inch Ultra Slim notebook or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fire 7 tablet for $474. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32-DBEST to order or visit us in-store at Force's flagship Mac Bean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery.
Welcome back to Talking Point. Oh, I apologize for that. What's going on this morning with me? Sean Michael Small, thank you very much for handling the last segment. I had a brief conversation with Acting ASP Ashraf Ali before we came on air this morning. And he's actually with us now in studio because I was just briefing him. I was saying, listen, after 2 weeks of absence, it's good to see you again, sir.
It's good to be here again. It's good to be here again. Unfortunately, where's Sean?
Sean has decided to, as with most things now, artificial intelligence. So he's decided to project his opinions through. Is that the real Sean or a deepfake? I don't know. For all intents and purposes, he's with us via Zoom.
Good morning, Sean.
Yes, I have uploaded myself into the servers, into the cloud. I am now immortal as a digital construct.
You see, what concerns me is Sean being immortal. That's the only thing that concerns me. Anyway, welcome back to the program, folks. So we get in this morning into discussion with regards to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, as well as the powers of a Trinidad and Tobago police officer, simply because that question will always be there. We can explain it as much as we want. It's a lot to get into. But there are also concerns many a times of abuse of power. This all goes hand in hand with building trust and confidence with the public, especially when police officers are having to carry out their duties. But the basic complaints all the time is police take advantage. Police don't care. They'll do whatever they want to do. They'll get away with it because nobody holds them to account.
And it's so true, because we have the legal power, which the relative laws give us the powers that to be with. We have what we consider to be discretionary powers. And then we have on the extreme where persons made allegations that officers may abuse those particular powers. It depends on how they view the powers to be used, right? So it's a balance. It's a balance, and it's never really seen as police officers getting it right. Always seem that we always not getting it right. And one of the things about it is that because many of the persons in the public, either they don't know our powers or they have the opinion that our powers is too much. Right? So under the Criminal Law Act 1004, we have 4 main powers. 2 as normal citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. That's where an arrestable offense has been committed, any person may arrest. So you fall in that category as a civilian, you can do an arrest. So that will come the citizen arrest. And then the second power is where an arrestable offense has been committed and who committed that offense within your view. So a civilian has 2 powers of arrest. Mm-hmm. The next 2 powers of arrest that falls under that section is where law enforcement officers, that's 2 additional powers that we have. That's where I believe that our powers get a little more unique and stronger, where that we can arrest somebody who we have reasonable cause to believe. That is a challenge sometimes, that the person's of the opinion that our reasonableness is abuse of power. Right? Mm-hmm. So we believe that you're going to commit an offense. Somebody said that you did this, you did that, we arrest you.
To what extent would you say acting SB Ali, given that we've had this discussion previously with respect to the enforcement of laws, and you know, let's be honest with each other, the TTPS has not been that very good in enforcing laws, and because of that level of ease and comfort that the public has experienced, I mean, in the sense that everybody complains about crime, everybody complains about guns, murders, robberies, which I am very much all for. I understand those complaints. But some of these same people that complain will also break simple, basic laws, like breaking a red light, for example, and get away with it.
That is where we come under the power of arrest, that we normally will get a lot of conflict, or the confrontation is basically with officers on the streets, right? Under the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, we have powers that we can do certain things. Firstly, any police officer can arrest without a warrant for dangerous driving. So if you are driving dangerously, we can arrest you. That is the view of the officer. So the officer, in conjunction with the additional powers that we have, these work tandem with each other, that we have, if it be of the opinion that you are driving recklessly, you can be arrested.
Now, again, sorry to interrupt you, but the point I'm trying to make is because citizens have, it seems as though the rules have been relaxed. Simple things like breaking a red light, parking on the main road, traffic violations, littering, whatever it may be. Because there have not been the enforcement of such laws. When officers now in 2023 start actually arresting individuals for this, most recently we saw this thing with a registered farmer and dangerous, danger to life with having these loose items in his tree. All of these things. Now that the TTPS is looking to enforce these things, if it is they actually do, is that also where you're going to start seeing people say, well, the police are abusing their powers?
No. We have the dynamics with respect to that, because persons of the opinion, and you hear it on all these social media posts that why they are going to find the criminals? Why they are going to do this? Why they coming and checking me? Now, my question to the general public is, who are the criminals out there? We have the issue of a stolen vehicle. And the most recent find that we had in the South, where almost 100 engines which reflected to 100 vehicles. And on this program, I was told you about the type of vehicles that have been reported stolen over the past couple of months. Mm-hmm. And the find confirms that, because those are the type of vehicles that was identified. Now, how do we deal with such a situation where vehicles are on the road? Police officers need to stop vehicles on the road. Inquire from the drivers of these vehicles if they are the owner and they have documentation to support. Now, one of the things that I always say is that when an officer stops any driver on the roads of Trinidad and Tobago, the officer is not going to ask you for your driver's permit and insurance alone. No. The first thing the law states is that they ask for your name and address. And failure to comply with giving your name and address is failure to comply with our lawful instructions. Also, the law also states if you refuse to give your name and address, you can be arrested.
But your name and address is on your driver's license.
But I never asked for your driver's license. So you don't have to produce your driver's license. If I ask you what is your name and address, you can tell me your name and address. And if I ask my second question, could you confirm your name and address, and you produce your driver's license to me, does it mean that I am 100% sure that that is you? That is where our power also lies. We also have, under the motive, if the officer has reason to believe that the name and address is false, we have the power to arrest and detain you and do further inquiries to determine that. That is the level and the extent of our powers. So it's not that we are abusing your power. The power is there for us to exercise. The problem that we have, or the challenge that you have, is the relaxation, as you indicate, where we have some discretionary powers, where we use some discretion at that point in time. That discretion puts us in some problems.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask, is it not just the fact that you have discretion, but I think also the fact that I don't think the population always respects the law, regardless of if there was a relaxation period for whatever reason. And, you have that whole give me a blind mentality, of course, and then it goes back to why are you not going after the real criminals, which I don't think it's a unique feature to TNT. I think you will get that in just about every country. I'm breaking traffic laws. Well, they have murderers out there. What are you wasting your time on me for? Not necessarily appreciating the broken windows theory when, it's the little details of society that encourage the larger scale corruption. But the flip side to that is, could it be that we don't really respect the law that well because the reputation from the TTPS, it might be a chicken and the egg scenario, because it's difficult for us to have respect for the officers because of that perception, rightfully or wrongfully. We kind of take these minor laws for granted. I don't want to hear you about my driving. If it's all made up, all of a sudden we want to call the police to get them to deal about it. But if it's about something minor, we don't want to see them. We don't want to see them at all, unless it's bothering us.
And one of the thing is that generally, when you speak to you pull over a driver, you pull over somebody on the road, and you speak to him, sometimes you get the officer, I do nothing wrong. Where you stopping me for? It doesn't mean that you did anything wrong, you know. The officer has a power to check. And in order for him to check whether or not your driving documents are in order, he has to stop you. And stopping you to verify that you is in fact not doing anything wrong. Because some persons may be driving a vehicle without a driver's permit.
Is it that an officer could stop a vehicle at random?
Any vehicle.
Any vehicle at random?
Any vehicle.
So in whatever report that they issue, they don't have to necessarily state a specific reason for stopping a vehicle. We just stop this vehicle.
Right. So under the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, we have the authority to stop a vehicle on the road and inquire. Right? Because we have reasonable, it would be reasonable to suspect that this vehicle was involved in something, or the person may have committed an offense. That is our powers. Right? The level at which some officers may exercise those powers, persons of the opinion, is an abuse of our power, but that is a power given to us.
What about the power to search a vehicle?
Under the Firearm Act 1601, we have the power to stop any vehicle and search for firearm and ammunition.
Specifically firearm and ammunition?
And we must disclose that to the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And inform the individual.
Similar provisions to search for drugs, or is that kind of unofficially looped in?
Well, the power falls on the 1601, where you're searching for firearm and ammunition, and anything illegally found in the vehicle will cover and will be covered.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give an account of it. Now, under the Predial Larceny Act, we have the power to stop a vehicle and inquire from the persons if they're carrying goods for the bill of sale. How many persons really and truly have bill of sale for items purchased for goods and services? So it goes for the farmer as well as the person who they're purchasing from has to conform to that, because the police is none the wiser. The police has to inquire.
I was speaking, funny enough that you brought this up, to President of the Sales Farmers Group, Mr. Benjamin Raj, this morning earlier, where he was saying that in instances he supports exactly what you're saying. But he says when Predial Larceny takes place, he says some of the farmers actually go to police stations to make reports. This has happened. He said one farmer has accounted that 5 times his crops were stolen. They believe it's the same individual. They've gone to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, various stations, made the reports. The police officers are not taking the reports because they're saying that how it's for the Predial Larceny unit to actually take this report. Could you correct me if I'm wrong? Isn't the station still supposed to take the report and transfer it to the unit if necessary?
Yes, they're supposed to. Right? Any report made to any police officer, any police station, whether it falls under Predial Larceny or otherwise, right, should be taken. Mm-hmm. And must be taken.
Because he's saying that how now these are robberies. He said even these stolen invasions that the TTPS is simply not taking. He said they're not taking it. He says because even the unit, the Predial Larceny unit, is not up to scratch.
Nevertheless, that they are not up to scratch. But at the same time, if he goes to a station, I urge that individual to ensure that anybody who goes to a station and make a report asks for a receipt. Yeah. Right? The officers are required to take that report and produce and give a receipt to the individual who making a report.
So I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break here on Talking Point, and when we return, we'll continue this morning's conversations, and we'll open up the phone lines as well to give you, the viewer, the opportunity to share your thoughts and opinions, as well as ask your questions. We'll be right back after this.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas, and Movie Town, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
The best laptops and tablets are at dbesttoys.com. Get a Gateway 14.1-inch Ultra Slim notebook or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fire 7 tablet for $474. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32-DBEST to order or visit us in-store at Forces flagship Mac Bean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery.
Welcome back to... Thank you, Sean, for letting me know. Welcome back to Talking Point here on WESN Content Capital. Ladies and gentlemen, let's open up the phone lines now. 628-4578. I said phone lines, didn't I? Sorry, phone line 628-4578. You can call in and join us on Talking Point this morning. You can share with us your thoughts and opinions, or you can ask your questions, because we are joined by Acting ASP Ashraf Ali, who is ready and willing to answer any question with regards to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service that you pose to him. Something that we were speaking about off air, and something that I think you should emphasize. You mentioned it previously when you were given the example of, somebody's name and address when a police officer stops them. But in that sense as well, failure to comply with a police officer's instructions is an arrestable offense.
It is, and the thing about it is that a lot of persons of the opinion, and when an officer asks, the next question is, so you ask another question, why? Why you want this? Why I should do this? Why I shouldn't do this? You get a lawful instructions. Comply. Could I see your driver's permit and insurance? Produce your driver's permit and insurance if you have nothing else to do. Right? Pull to the side of the road.
What is the fines or even the time associated with failing to comply with a police officer's instructions?
It's a ticketable offense. Failing to comply.
Just a ticketable offense.
You get a ticket. However, with our ticket system, once you get a ticket, points are accumulated on your driver's permit. So the ramification of that goes down the road, and then failing to comply with the confrontation. We also have the confrontation with police officers, where you can also now be arrested for assaulting a police officer by the mere fact that you pull away from the officer, and it escalates all the way up. So if you're not doing anything wrong, just comply. Simple as that. The officer is asking you for some documentation. Produce your documentation and go about your business. He's doing his job. You are on your way. Isn't it an inconvenience? No, it's not an inconvenience, because sometimes if you look at it from a different perspective, those persons who lost their vehicles, those 100 vehicles, they would appreciate that if we had roadblocks to catch persons with those 100, those individuals, if you ask those persons, they would say they don't mind stopping an hour, 2 hours in a roadblock if the police officer could have caught the individual who stole their vehicle.
What about foot patrols? Our officers with foot patrols, could they stop anyone at random as well?
Yes, they can. Once our officer in uniform is out in the streets.
You can just randomly say, okay,
stop a vehicle because we see it.
No, I'm not talking about a vehicle. I'm talking about a citizen walking on the street.
Yes, you can stop a citizen and inquire from them. But with our laws of Trinidad and Tobago, remember it's not lawful to have identification on you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ask you your name and I'm of the opinion that your name is wrong, then I can detain you to the station.
Mm-hmm.
But I must inform you why I'm detaining you, because you're supposed to have committed to have reasonable belief that you may have committed an offense, and I'm inquiring about it.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, let's take this caller from Chagones. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question for your guest here. On the news into this woman who claimed she was abused, when the officers were asked whether that facility is manned only by men or male and female, she said she cannot answer that for national security purposes. What on earth national security purpose could answer in that question compromise?
Well, the context of that question, and based on the national security, the briefing that was there, not much was divulged, right? It just probably that was just a briefing as to what is taking place. Our gender-based violence unit, special victim, Senior Superintendent Guy Allen would have been instrumental in setting up the investigation, and I guess at the end of the day, the findings will be presented.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to be done in investigations of this nature.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of persons will be interviewed, and
so essentially what you're saying is that the response given may be due to the ongoing investigation.
yes, so she would not have been able to divulge a lot because it's new, and there's a lot of things that has to be looked into on allegations. Remember, these allegations, we don't know.
Caller from Chagones. All right, okay. Caller from Chagones, the acting ASB answered your question. I mean, it's reasonable that, given the fact that many times we hear that we cannot answer certain questions, we cannot release this information because it's an active investigation. Now, to be very honest with you, I understand where the call is coming from. Because even if an investigation is ongoing, to try and state what is the breakdown or, of officers at the heliport facility.
Remember, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is not responsible for detention centers.
Mm-hmm.
That question would be left for the Ministry of National Security and Immigration Department to deal with it, what they deem as detention centers, because they have that sole responsibility. So that question, we have to go to that individual, whether or not whatever facility, what is their ratio, they will have to answer that question, because we, the TTPS, would not have been able to answer those type of questions.
Sean?
Well, I do wonder if, because I feel it too, the concern about wanting more information is actually similar to those who want to question why I need to see my driver's license now, why stop me for, what you want, why I want to search my car. I think it's the same thing. It's the perception, and to some extent, I do wonder if it's imported with what you see on social media. There are whole YouTube channels about people breaking down bad police conduct in the United States and other countries. But at the end of the day, we're looking at, that perception of questioning what's going on. Why is it so bad? We need more answers. We want more answers. The difference is, I think, in this situation, you're not the one, and that is to say, the member of the public with questions, you're not the one that the police officer is stopping and requiring to inquire about. So at the very least in that, you have to take a step back and comply so that, no matter how inconvenient it is, you can get through it. But it's a bit more difficult, I think, for me to say, well, take a step back in this situation as well.
Sean,
despite the ongoing investigation.
Just pause on your point for a moment. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We do have a call on the line with us. Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, I got cut off just now, so I couldn't answer your question. But you all did not answer my question. My question was what national security risks could be compromised by stating whether there are female officers based in that facility. I didn't talk about this incident. I know that there sometimes can be questions which can prejudice the investigation. How good can that prejudice the investigation? That's my question.
Cole, I think you have a very good question. The only issue with it, and again, let me stress, very good question, separate from the investigation. What the acting ASP is saying is that at these detention centers, it's not the TTPS who is...
That's the reason why this country is waging. We find a way not to do it.
And I don't agree with you, sir. The detention centers are not under the jurisdiction of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
I asked a simple question. Why don't answer that?
And I did say that, but the fact of the matter is not under the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. That question has to be directed to the chief immigration officer or even the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force who manage that facility.
All of them was there in the contract.
Well, I don't know, sir. I don't know if anybody asked that question to the panel. I guess nobody asked that question.
Well, he can find out next week. He can bring it.
All right, we will try our best to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, caller, you're asking a good question. Go on, Sean.
No, just that not only is it that this specific location is not under the purview of the TTPS, this is technically not one of our formal jails. So that whole situation, I think, is somewhat under review.
No, again, as I said, the callers asked a good question, but it's not a question for the TTPS to answer. The reason why the police service is involved currently is because there is a police investigation taking place to alleged sex crimes. That is why the TTPS is involved. But I do understand the response given by Acting ASP Ashraf Ali. It's a good question, and he's directing you, as well as, I guess, talking point, that it's a conversation that we should have with the Chief Immigration Officer. So, you know, we will try our best to get a response to you. And I hope you understand, because I myself understand where Acting ASP Ashraf Ali, you know, is coming from. In instances like this, by the way, the individual was purported to be a woman of Venezuelan nationality. She's alleging that she was sexually assaulted. Is it now up to the immigration officers to make this report to the TTPS, or is it up to her? No,
it was already reported, right? It was under our domestic violence.
No, but generally speaking.
No, there's no need for anybody to report anymore, because the way our Domestic Violence Act and Sexual Offense Act, anyone can report a sexual offense against an individual. And because the allegation was made by her boyfriend on the social media, it brought to the attention of the police service, and the police would have launched an investigation to determine the veracity of the allegations, right? So this is where the investigation is. They would interview the alleged victim and to determine all the factors surrounding it. And if it is so, the relevant information will be prepared and forwarded. But at this point in time, it is already in the domain of the police because an investigation has been launched through social media and the attention of the police.
I know this may sound like a very silly question, but it's still something that needs clarification. Could anyone of any nationality make a report to the TTPS once it's in Trinidad and Tobago?
Anyone in Trinidad and Tobago can go to the police service and go to any police station and make a report. Anyone. It does not matter what nationality you are once you are within the Trinidad, once you are in the jurisdiction of
TTPS. Again, just sounds like a silly question, but just clarifying. Again, ongoing investigation on the part of the TTPS, so could answer questions as it associates with the TTPS, but not necessarily with regards to the detention center. Sean, you had a point you'd like to make?
Well, just it goes back to that bugbear about reporting things and being turned away with excuses. I think therein lies the other problem where, you know, psychologically speaking, those of us who want to take the police seriously are now turned away from the police. I mean, you yourself, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for the fact that you had positive interactions as a television host with media ambassadors, Keaton, you yourself, based off of one situation that you've been reporting, might have had enough negative situations where your faith in police would have sunk. So that's the thing, it's like a building block of one in supporting the next, which is why I asked, you know, if it's a chicken and the egg situation. Is it that the police are feeding back to the population the negativity that the population is giving them, or vice versa, or is it self-supporting and you know, self-fueling?
But you see,
self-sustaining.
That's the thing, and I know, and I hope the acting ASP understands that it's you know, what you're suggesting, I will totally agree with, because my experience or my interaction with the Trans-Tobago Police Service is not necessarily a very good one. It's not a great one, and I cannot sit here and lie to the public. It's been a very bad experience. If it was not for the assistance of acting ASP Ashraf Ali, I would still be very much frustrated, because even simply going to report a RTA, you know, it's absolutely appalling sometimes the service that you get. So as much as the media ambassador speaks to us,
that have generally not had similar situations to you.
No,
so
and
as much
that's,
as
and that's,
I'm
and that's
the ball of
absolutely fine.
negativity here,
The point is,
positive interactions.
the point is, I could understand and I empathize at times with the frustrations from the public.
And we do, and just to add, we do acknowledge that disparity where you have conflicting views with the interactions with the police. And that is where I think some of the members of the public is really truly not aware of our powers and how we could exercise our powers, discretionary or otherwise, right? So if they understand our powers, they would understand that it is not abuse of our power, but it's the authority given to us to do certain things. Mm-hmm. For instance, there was a social media that clip that is going around where individual was stopped by an officer and asked to drive a document because the passenger was not wearing their seatbelt. Right? The driver is responsible because you are the driver of the vehicle. The officer did in fact inform the person that it would be unfair to issue a ticket for your passenger not wearing a seatbelt because it will go onto your driver's permit and you will be held, you will face the brunt of it, right? But also advise the individual that should ensure that the passenger wear the seatbelt. The driver of the vehicle never hesitated, was very respectful to the officer, handed over the documents, right? And explained to the person what was taking place. Now, after that video went on, I only could assume that it was a passenger in the vehicle. The driver told the passenger to exit the vehicle because you are not listening to what I told you to do, and I am not going to pay a ticket on your behalf. And actually told the person to leave the vehicle.
Now, you see, let me, you have to understand that I will not say that all police officers are bad. It's just that the unfortunate instance here in TNT is that you have the bad apples that are overshadowing the good. I was actually very pleased when I saw that video of the registered farmer, people saying that the TTP has taken advantage. I said, no, individual is breaking a law. And also, this thing about with videos, you have to understand, people start filming when they want to start filming.
Exactly.
We don't know what transpired before this farmer was filming. However, I could still relate to the public at times. The response time from the TTPS needs to improve. When you see, you speak about it's illegal to park on you see police officers parking and leaving.
There is a lot, I am admitting, and we continue to admit, there are a lot of things that we need to improve. The things that we need to improve is not the police service only. It's the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who tend to want to confront police officers with executing their duties. And I am saying, once you confront a police officer who is legitimately exercising his powers under the laws of Trinidad and Tobago given to us, you run amok, you might end up having to face another consequence. Failing to comply with the lawful instructions, because that is the lawful instructions, and I represent the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. As well as, if you resist, you can be charged for assaulting a police officer or resisting an arrest. And I'm saying to a lot of persons out there, the confrontation that you want to get involved in and asking the officer why he's doing this part of his job, it's where we have the conflict. So people must understand that is the powers given to a police officer.
In the similar sense as though it's a failure for a citizen to comply with the instructions of a Trinidad and Tobago police officer.
Yes.
If a citizen is stopped, does not see an officer's badge number, does not see an officer's badge, request that the officer shows his badge or tell us their badge number. Because in this day and age, there have been instances of where we've heard of people wearing false police officers.
Good.
Right. If the officers fail to do such, so let me break down this question. The officer stops me. Before the officer can ask me for anything, I don't see any identification. No number, no badge. So before the officer asks me anything, I'm asking the officer, sir, could you please produce your badge and your badge number? If the officer fails to do such, and then continues with their inquiries, and at that point in time, because you're concerned, you're not going to tell them any of your personal information, because I cannot verify this is an officer of the law.
So here we go again. Is it up to you to determine that there's a police officer or not?
But acting as hold on, but understand where I'm coming from.
I understand
because of the concerns of fake police officers in TNT.
Good. And how many? We have a lot of we have reports of persons purporting to be police officers, but I am talking about an officer in uniform stopping with a police vehicle, right? And you're still asking the question if he or she is a police officer. And I'm saying there are isolated situations, and in those isolated situations, if you're not comfortable that determining that that is a police officer, right, you have to make that judgment call. I am not saying not to make a judgment call, because if you do not comply, you can be arrested for failing to comply. You will have your day in the court to say that the officer did not produce anything at all. I didn't believe that he was a police officer, and I failed to comply, and I was arrested. So you have your day.
I have to go to Sean. Sean has to make a point. Just very quickly, there have been instances of officers wearing tactical belts, they have their gun on it, but they still have no badge or number.
Fair enough.
Just bear that in mind.
Fair enough, and I agree
Sean?
with you.
Well, I would just say it might be good to have like a protocol that could escalate the situations. When I say escalate, in the context of, okay, I'm not so sure about this situation, can I ask for a supervisor? I know in the States you could literally just, in whatever traffic stop situation, ask for a supervisor, and you have to be willing to wait. And I think therein lies the key. The vast majority is going to be about, well, why are you inconveniencing me for? And I think people need to get it through their head, well, at the end of the day, this is what guilty people will do. And you're going to be adding on extra stress onto the police officer who does not know, hey, this is just a traffic stop, but how dangerous could this be, right? Why are you setting yourself up to have any kind of confrontation with the police, any sort of altercation? Just comply, unless you have good reason. And again, then you should, if it's not available, you should be able to ask for, well, could more police come? Could a supervisor come to explain to me or whatever, in a calm manner. Don't try to rush the police, but for the most part, just comply. You know, because a half an hour inconvenience is not worth it. And if the police is doing anything wrong, you could take the matter to court. survive the moment, take the matter to court if it's justifiable.
I don't know how I'm
Otherwise,
gonna. My last option will always be to take anybody to court, but I don't know how I'm going to take somebody to court if they can't even tell me their name, if they can't produce a badge number or a badge.
However, what I'm saying to you right now is that our jurisdiction in Trinidad and Tobago, there is nothing in the laws of Trinidad and Tobago or under the Police Service Act where you can call for my supervisor on the street. That is not in Trinidad and Tobago laws. That has never been. So you have an opportunity. If you fail to comply, you will be arrested. You go before the court and say, I did not believe that this is a police officer, because that is the same person.
Could a plainclothes police officer without again, I have to stress on this, it is a concern.
No plainclothes, and I know where you are, no plainclothes police officer in uniform. And we always have this challenge where we continue to tell, these conflicts always come because the officers have a power to stop. That is where our power lies. But by the exercising of this power, some officers are too eager to exercise that power because they believe the power is there to exercise. But if you are in plain clothes, you don't have a badge on your chest, the public, and I agree with you, the public will have a problem based on what is taking place.
Plainclothes officers in unmarked vehicles.
Exactly.
If they do not produce a badge or a badge number, could they still carry out an arrest and arrest this individual and transport them to this unmarked vehicle?
Arrest is something different. Under the Motor Vehicle Road Traffic Act, it states that a police officer in a uniform could stop you on the road. If the officer is conducting an investigation where the vehicle is involved, they can detain the vehicle and the occupants of the vehicle, stop the vehicle and detain the occupants of the vehicle. But on a general note, you just can't come out on the road in plain clothes and stop a vehicle because you don't have that power. Only a uniform officer in uniform under the Motor Vehicle Road Traffic Act.
So then this situation that took place a couple of months ago in Port of Spain with a plainclothes police officer,
it should not have happened.
It should not have happened.
Right?
Understood. And where's that investigation? Sealed and shut?
No, it is not sealed and shut. Officers have been put on disciplinary charges, but disciplinary charges are internal. You would not hear about what the officer has been charged, the nature of disciplinary charges. They would be charged, they would be reprimanded in certain instances, but we deal with our certain situations internally that we continue to.
I mean, to an extent, that's a little unfair to the public. Huh?
It is, but you always hear our commissioner speaking about officers in uniform, having officers in uniform, and once you don't have officers in uniform, and there's always a disparity as to who is a police officer, there will always have some level of conflict, and I agree with you. However, our powers of arrest is wide. And our powers as a police officer is wide.
And this is where there are blurred lines of a citizen's arrest as well.
Exactly, but at the end of the day, we have a challenge with some of these citizens because before they comply, they want to confront. Right? They're not complying. They're confrontational and asking questions whether the officer has authority to do that work. Before you just comply with the instructions given. You are not doing anything wrong. Comply.
Sure, Michael Small?
I just hope, I understand what you said, ASP Ali, there's no policy for supervisors have to come out. I hope that some sort of policy just that can help address potential fake police situations, as rare as they might be for most of the general public. Some sort of policy so people can be at ease that they have that option. But for the most part, I get it. It's a judgment call and it's not what I would recommend. It's not what I would recommend for people to step out and say, oh no, this is a fake police officer and I'm not going to comply. I'm pretty sure that in a lot of situations where people are confrontational on basic things like traffic stops, you're not part of some grand fake police conspiracy. Where's the fraud there? Where's the big criminal activity there? Just comply. Just comply. How much minutes really or will you lose in your day to just comply? It will probably be faster if you just comply.
Sure, Michael Small, thank you very much for your contribution. Good seeing you via Zoom this morning. I know in virtual is not the same as in person. Trust me, I can attest to that. but it's good to see you nonetheless. Acting ASP Ashraf Ali, thank you very much for your time once more and for your continued service to the people by coming here and, informing them and clarifying certain things, because we all share concerns.
And Keaton, if after my interaction with you, overall interactions with you, if you change from all your negative aspirations and negative impacts with the police, you just get one or two positive, it means that we are doing something a little better. So you're starting to go from negative to a little positive.
Let me tell you something. I've had negative experiences, but I've had a positive experience.
So we are hoping that more positive than negative.
I hope that if ever it comes that I have a positive experience without the intervention and help of my good friend here, that'll be the day.
Well, we are all hoping for positive interactions. The more positive interactions we have with the public, it means that our negative aspects of it will be less, and the trust and confidence in the police will be increased.
Well, Acting ASP, have a good day.
You too, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Talking Point on WESN Content Capital. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Wish you a good day ahead. Remember, today is a good day to have a good day, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning from 8 o'clock. Until then, bye-bye.
WESN.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? Yes. What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.